Well, hello, Am-Dram world. Welcome to StagesStruck, the Am-Dram Banter Podcast with me, your host, Chris.
And I'm Todd.
And today we are here to talk about all things Am-Dram, not only here in the West Yorkshire, but of course, throughout this lovely series of podcasts throughout the entire United Kingdom. And of course, today we're really putting a big emphasis on a big show coming up this year in April 2025. It is going to be Jesus Christ Superstar, starring ourselves in this big production. And this podcast is basically an idea of what goes on behind the scenes. We have interviews lined up with some of the cast members, the production team, the directors. It's going to be pretty epic. And if you've always wanted to know what it's like to be on stage performing and singing, but also just have a normal 9-to-5 day job, well, this is the podcast for you. If you've ever dreamed of becoming big or being on that stage and having that big number, this is the podcast for you, because Am-Dram is for everyone. And it's pretty, that's how this kind of podcast came about, wasn't it?
100%, yeah. We were just thinking about kind of what a cool world it is where you've got people that are going to work every day, normal jobs, really bog standard jobs that across the board, and then all of a sudden in the evening they become the stars themselves.
Great.
I love it.
And that's what we love about it. Everybody can be a star. And that's what I love about Am-Dram, because we have people in our cast from the age of 18 all the way up to 75, 80. There's some seasoned performers there. People that have been doing it for years and years. And what's great about Am-Dram more than anything else, not only is it about being on stage and performing, it's the community. And that's what we wanted to bring this podcast to the community, to people, to, bring us all together. And hopefully we can keep doing this and showing you the ins and outs of what's going on. So listen, we're getting ready for a big show coming up this year, Jesus Christ Superstar. It's been a pretty full-on, intense rehearsal period. I'd say we're about halfway through, would you say?
Yeah, God, yeah, we are, aren't we?
Yeah,
that's scary.
It's scary when you think that. We're about halfway through. I think we've only got about 8 or 9 weeks until opening night. And
I don't think we've got that much.
No, it's flying in now. April 6th,
it's March next week.
Yeah, March is next week.
6 weeks, 7 weeks.
So, folks, if you want to find out more about the show and you want to get tickets to come and see us, it is going to be the Chaos Productions. It's going to be us. We're going to be at the Victoria Theatre in Halifax on the 17th of April. And that's going to be on the Thursday evening. And we're going to be there from the 17th to the 20th, which is Easter Sunday. What a kind of, ideal show to come and see on Easter Sunday when you come and see JC.
But that alone's different in itself, because I don't think I've ever done a show where we've performed on the Sunday instead of finishing on the Saturday night.
Yeah, it's going to feel weird. It's going to be a pretty weird kind of finish for us, because
it's going to be special.
Yeah, I think it'll be very different.
It's going to have a real kind of feel to it.
And that's what I love about Am-Dram. That's what I love about this. We kind of have these kind of rights that we can do things like this. And that's another thing that people don't realise. If you're not part of the Am-Dram society and the Am-Dram kind of community, we only get a short, limited time to do these shows. We put in all that effort for months and months, and all we get is maybe 4 or 5 nights to put it on. Yeah. So it's going to be pretty epic. And hopefully you listen to us on all of your devices, any fruit-related devices you have, of course, on Spotify and Apple Music. And, of course, you can watch us on our YouTube channel as well, StageStruck. We can tell you everything you need to know and all that fun stuff. But, of course, you're probably listening to us and realising, who are these two gentlemen, one Scottish guy and one Yorkshireman?
These two reprobates on the screen.
Who are these two people, and why are they here telling us about Am-Dram? Well, we're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves, so why don't we start with you, Todd? Tell us, listen, Yorkshireman here in Yorkshire, tell us, where did it start for you becoming, part of the Am-Dram society, and what do you do, not just in Am-Dram, but what do you do for a full-time job?
So full-time job, I kind of avoided regular work as best I could. I just knew the 9-to-5 was never for me, so I do a range of jobs in my work. My phone kind of says I'm a musician / tutor.
All right.
So I do everything from playing the functions and events, weddings,
nice,
singing in your pubs and clubs on a weekend.
Love it.
To then teaching and tutoring. So I tutor guitar, I tutor a bit of singing, I tutor drama. I go into schools.
Is that for I was going to say, is that
for
so
I do a lot of work with schools. I teach ukulele in schools. That's one of my main jobs.
Wow.
And then I write quizzes as well. I'm a quiz host and quiz writer for several pubs. So.
Now, someone told me, a little birdie told me, you were on a famous quiz TV show. Is that correct?
Sort of correct. I was on a very famous one. I was on a very unfamous one as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I'll tell you about the unfamous one first. So basically, when I was at university, I was like, how do I get money without having to work too hard? So I applied for quiz shows because that was normal. And I got on one called, I don't know if I can say the name. Yeah, I can. Pick Me, it was called.
Pick Me.
Pick Me.
All right.
With Stephen Mulhern. Yeah. And it was, we basically all got a letter, and it felt a bit like we were going to be the star of the show. Like, you've been chosen to, and it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But it was a Price is Right sort of job where you're in the audience. It was like a, Todd, come on down.
That kind of thing.
I did get picked on the final show. You record 4 shows in a day, and you had to I can't really remember it. I think you had to lie about what was in your box or pretend that you had something in your box or something like that. And if you had the prize in your box and convinced them you did or something, you won it. I didn't win anything.
But you were on TV?
I was on TV. Every Christmas it comes back on like ITV2, and I get a load of text messages saying, is this you? It was about 10 years ago and 10 stone ago. And then my more successful one...
The camera adds 25, 30 pounds, so don't you?
Yeah, I'm worried about nowadays then. And then the more successful one was The Chase.
Oh.
I was on The Chase about 7 or 8 years ago.
Who did you face?
So I faced Anne. But I feel I manipulated and I created this whole journey for myself. So I worked out pretty early on in the audition process that if you came up with like a bit of a backstory as to why you would want to face...
everything.
So I managed to convince the producer. I mean, I do love Anne. She is my favourite chaser. This wasn't false, but I said, oh, you know, if I won some money, I'd ask to take Anne out on a date and all this. And when it got to the actual shooting, I just shied up and went... that's a wonderful woman up there. But yeah, all I wanted was to not embarrass myself. And I got through to the final chase. There was me and another lady. I think we had about 16,000 in the pot. And we got caught. No, it wasn't 16,000. It was 11,000. I lie.
And what did you got up to?
We only got to 16. That's where the 16 comes from. And we got caught with like 18 seconds left. Oh. It was a pretty poor performance. You spend so long, you buzz, and then you're waiting for your name to be said. Whereas I feel if you do it on your own,
it's like,
you can just go straight away. And there were certain questions I knew I wouldn't know, but then will she know it? So you don't want to pass.
Oh, you don't want,
You can find it somewhere out there. Tag me in it. I'm wearing a red lumberjack shirt.
I think I've seen it. I think I saw a few pictures.
Yeah, the big thing they tell you when you leave the studios, they say make sure you don't go on any social media when it's on, because the fans can be a bit agitated. And I was like, oh right, okay, no worries. Now my partner at the time decided this would be a great idea, so she went on it. And she was like, oh no, this guy says you're really attractive. And I was like, oh. And then, but the abuse you get, it's not warranted at all. So I got loads of, I was trying to be an actor at the time, so I said my profession was an actor. If he's an actor, why have I never seen him in anything? And he could play a shouty lumberjack, because I wore a lumberjack shirt.
Public, man.
It was horrific. A friend of mine, somebody I'd love to get on the podcast, who I met through Chaos, he once went on and took the minus offer, and he was in like all the red top newspapers as like worst contestant ever, and he's such an intelligent bloke as well. And it was like they painted him out to be this idiot. I loved it, but yeah. So that was my quiz show time, and then acting wise, it was I just come from the ultimate Am-Dram family, grew up around it, but never really did the junior leagues up until my first show with Chaos was when I was 11. I did Oliver with them, and then did school shows. You know, I played Santa when he got stuck up the chimney and that sort of thing. The Littlest Christmas Tree, that was my first ever part. And then grew up through the junior leagues when I was about 15, 16, 17. And then went away to uni, did drama at uni, did a few kind of little semi-pro tours, you know, got a bit of pocket money for doing those and whatnot, but never really kind of gave it the full jump head first. and then returned to Halifax and refound the love of amateur dramatics, where, like we said, anyone can be a star, and just made so many incredible friendships through it that...
The community.
Yeah, why would you leave?
What kind of shows did you do when you came back?
Oh, so my first musical when I came back. So I did a few plays when I came back. I did things like The History Boys was one of my favourite ones.
Sure.
I did some great work for a couple of societies where, kind of profit shares and things. So a great company called Talking Stock Productions. They've got a new play coming out soon, which I might link in the bio. So I did about 5 plays for them, all new writes, which were great. Amazing. Really hilarious. I had a guy called Alan Stockdale there that writes those. Some really beautiful pieces. And then my first musical was The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, what a show.
That was the one I came back for. I thought, well, do you know what? They might cast a fat, ugly guy in that show. And somehow they were foolish enough to cast me as the romantic lead.
Oh my God.
So they must have had the Captain Phoebus. They must have had a really ugly... Well, imagine, the guy playing Quasimodo. The guy playing Quasimodo is far better looking than I ever will be.
How do you feel like playing the romantic lead? How do you feel?
Do you know, I think people having faith in you to do a part like that, it gives you this glow. Because you're like, oh, hang on a second. Yeah. And then they gave me a sword in rehearsals, and I was like... And I mean, Freud is probably going to spend a long time analysing that, or a very short time. And then, even worse, we got to the theatre and they gave me a metal sword when everyone else had wooden swords. And then people even asked me backstage, "Can you not go so hard in the fight scenes because you're chipping my sword?" And I was like, "No, sorry, I'm a full child. You get to sing high notes and play with a sword, and you get the girl sort of." No spoilers.
Kinda.
But yeah, so I did that, and then as soon as I did that, got the absolute hook, and was in. I think I did about 4 in the first year back. Was it? No, it was 3 in the first year back, and an audition for the next one, which was in the start of the next year.
Wow.
I think over my first 18 months back in amateur theatre, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
different shows.
Yeah.
What would you say was your favourite out of all of them?
Hunchback was always special.
Would you say that because of the role you played, or was it as an overall production?
The connections I made. So the 5 of us in the lead roles all really clicked, and there was beautiful connections there. Massive shout out to Sonia, who was my Esmeralda. We'd never met each other before, and to this day, she's still one of my closest friends. Wow. It was just such an intense kind of relationship to work with. But it was kind of like, it's okay because you've got somebody there in the room. And I think we both kind of went through similar journeys on that story. It was her first lead role with Chaos as well. And and then Jay, who played Quasimodo, was just so beautiful, man. That guy's voice was just incredible.
I love that role. Out There is one of the greatest songs to sing.
Just
really
incredible.
Is. Such a great song.
He does a beautiful one as well. It's really underrated called Heaven's Light.
Yes, yeah.
And it's really in the light head zone.
Yeah.
And I auditioned for Quasimodo, and looking back on it, it's an area of my voice as a rock singer. It's an area that I would have really struggled with, and it was just so effortlessly beautiful with him.
People don't realise that, though, don't they? I always find it strange with rock vocalists, because we'd probably consider ourselves more that kind of top rock tenor stuff.
Yeah,
it's very hard. It's very hard to be both. When you try and be both, I think it sounds too forced and not natural. And that's one thing I hate when I listen to a singer. I want to just listen to someone be their natural self. Yeah. If you can't do it, don't do it, but do something else. So, especially with Quasi, there's a few moments in the show where he's got to be up there, very
out there,
very out there. Very out there. Also, you did Grease as well.
Now that was a special one. That wasn't one of the original 5. So that was the next one after the 5.
Right.
And that was my first time working with my long-standing friend, who is also our director this time. She was the director then, Kaylee. Who we're hoping we're going to get on the podcast. Yes. We're just sorting dates out. Was she directing? She directed that.
Wow.
And we've known each other for millions of years. Kind of grown up around these societies together. But I don't think, she might correct me now when she comes on or when she watches it, I don't think we'd worked together in that relationship before. And she just created this atmosphere that was so fun. The Greases and Pink Ladies, we all still talk. We've got group chats, and we just we all just clicked. We played this really like dirty game the first time we played. It was like a snap card game. I can't remember what it's called. Somebody commenting, you might know what it's called.
Cards Against Humanity?
No, it wasn't Cards. No. It was something Double.
Yeah.
But it was like a rude version.
Okay, rude version, right.
And it was great because it just broke the ice. And all of a sudden, 30-year-olds, suddenly we're able to become these really immature teenagers.
Listen, you don't even need to like diss that. When you look back and watch the original film of Grace,
God, yeah.
Come on.
I looked younger than the guy in that, definitely. Oh my God!
Most of them are preying on young girls, man. It's right. Rizzle looks like she's 45. She smoked about 20 a day.
She was like 30 something, wasn't she?
And they're trying to these teenagers.
Stockard Channing.
Stockard Channing, and I just love the fact that when Frankie, is it Frankie Avalon come on for Beauty School Dropout?
Yeah, the teenage
he was supposed to be the older guy. He didn't even look out of place. He looked like he was the guy that was the same year as Danny. I was like, oh my God.
So Grease, that's a perfect segue for me to kind of flip. I feel like you're learning all about me. Now, you've already kind of alluded to being a bit of a rock singer. Mm-hmm. He's not a bit of a rock singer. This guy, some of you might have already seen, if you're kind of following socials for this show, you might have already seen some clips of him singing some of his work as Judas. This guy is the rock singer, especially locally. He's brilliant. He's ever since you've kind of come back to the area from the job that we'll talk about in a moment, I've just followed your path, and then obviously we became really good friends.
Yeah.
And honestly, your control, especially in that top register. I took a video the other week at a gig of him singing AC/DC, and everyone I've shown is like, "Oh my God, he sounds just like the guy." Is he miming? And I was like, no.
But you don't find it weird though? Like, it's going to sound really, really, really funny. There's certain things that to other people may sound really, really, really hard and stuff, but I think as a rock vocalist, you find pockets in your voice, and you find pockets where you make things sound easier than what what they should be, right? And it's so true. But whereas what I found with a rock vocalist, if you've got me to stand up on stage and I've got to sing, "I've got you under my skin," I'll sing it.
Beautiful.
But I mean, with that, I've got to think about it more.
Yeah.
Where I place it. So as a rock vocalist, I always feel there's a pocket where you put something, and the moment you put it in the pocket, it stays there and it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm in my comfort zone, if you know what I mean. So. Yeah, I've not always been a rock singer, though.
Well, I was going to say, so where did it start for you? Was it?
It was when I was younger. It was actually the age of 5 to the age of 9. I was the face. This is going to shock a few people, maybe yourself. From the age of 5 to the age of 9, there's a chocolate biscuit company in Scotland called Tunnocks Tea Cakes.
You can't mess with. So this isn't my first podcast. I used to co-host a podcast called the Day Drinkers Podcast, which is still available on YouTube somewhere. And I think it was the first ever one. Mm-hmm. We argued with the guest because you'd never heard of Tunnocks Tea Cakes. Tunnocks Tea Cakes are my life. Well, if you tell me you were the face of Tunnocks Tea Cakes.
I was the face of Tunnocks Tea Cakes from the age of 5 to the age of 9. So I don't know if you can go on YouTube right now or go on Google right now, and there's actually a picture of the box, the yellow box, and it's got the tea cakes in it, and there's a picture of a wee cartoon face of a boy with a comb over hair. So that was me. So the idea was, from the age of 5 to 9, I would literally travel up and down Scotland. And the reason I got the job was so ridiculous. There's a seaside town in Scotland called Largs, right? And I was 5 years old, and my mum and dad took me for a day out. And back in the day, I don't know if they've had them down here in Yorkshire. Do you remember, this is a while ago, travelling road shows where you would have like variety entertainment on. So you'd have like a juggler, then a singer, then a promotion for a DJ or a radio station and stuff. And it was always these radio road shows. And there was a clown on stage. His name was Chico the Clown. Funnily enough, he became my agent when I was older, but that's another story. And literally my agent was a clown. So I used to make that joke when I never got enough money. I used to just go, "My agent's such a clown," so he is. And he really was. He was like, but basically he was on stage and I was 5, and he'd done his act and he'd left his microphone on the stage, and I managed to run away from my mum and dad. And I went round the back, climbed up on stage, and my shtick when I was younger is I used to sing these old Scottish folk songs.
Like the one I sent you the other day.
Yes, like really, like old little Scottish. I used to sing, one of my songs I used to sing was about a brown hen. I used to go, once I had a wee brown hen that had a wee brown tail. All that kind of stuff, right?
Don't
5
leave it
years
there,
old,
man.
no, I saw him going. But I was 5 years old and I used to do these songs. And what I'd done that day is I went up on stage and I started singing. But in the audience was an agent who was the proprietor for Tonics Tea Cakes. And basically they approached my mum and dad and said, listen, we'd like your son to go on tour like next summer with us in the road show, and he'll be the face of Tonics Tea Cakes. And they used to put me in a little kilt, rub chocolate on my face, and get me to go up on stage, and I would sing. And the idea of it was for me to sing to then sell Tonics Tea Cakes and caramel wafers and caramel logs. That was their three staple things.
And my mind is actually blown.
But I tell you
let
what,
me talk about Hunchback of Notre Dame for 10 minutes. Tonics Tea Cakes, man, this is like...
You know what was really funny though? Because like people say it must be a dream. For a good period from the age of 9 to like 17, I could not look at a Tonics tea cake. Like it was one of them things when I saw them, I went, oh God. Because
that's the thumbnail right there. I couldn't look at a Tonics tea cake.
I could not look at a Tonics tea cake again. And basically, I literally, they were all over our house. We gave them to our neighbours. They used to get boxes of them and stuff like that. So I did that for a long time. And then I had that period of like, I wanted to be a footballer and I wanted to do other things. And it wasn't until I was in high school when I was 13. They were doing Oliver, the musical, and the whole funny story was they got the whole entire first years to come in and sit in the theatre, and they wanted everybody to just sing along to some of the songs. And it wasn't an audition as such, but they were just getting an idea of who can do what and stuff. And no one knew I was a singer at that point, and I had this skinhead, and I was just... In Scotland, we call them Neds.
Yeah.
I was a Ned. I was a Ned for a couple of years. And then they were basically getting us to sing I Do Anything, the boys. And I'm at the back, and I switched off. And I went into showbiz mode, and I'm like with all my cool pals. And I just started belting out, I do. And I just remember everybody in the theatre turning around going, who's that? Is that... And they used to call me Chrissy Williams. Is that Chrissy Williams? And they all looked, and that was it. And from there, I got the part of Oliver, and then did musicals in high school, played Billis in South Pacific, played Teen Angel in Greece, played Laser Wolf in Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, nice.
And then I moved up, and I went to what we call Chaos in Scotland. It was called the Apollo Players, and it was a big step up, and I went and done West Side Story, and I'd done it with my local group in Inverclyde, and I played Tony in West Side Story. And then I went to Glasgow, and then I played Baby John because of my age and stuff. So I was only 16, and I was in a really, really strong cast. And then that was it. And then I got my first job singing abroad. I went to Tenerife, started singing in hotels, with a cast of like 4. Did that for a little bit. And then, as well as doing that, I was singing and gigging like yourself at the weekend, doing pubs and clubs. And then I got my first big opportunity to go on cruise ships, and that was in 2010, so 15 years ago. 2009, sorry. And I went and joined, did a bit of cruising, it was lovely. And then I went to America in 2012. Nice. And I was in the US for nearly 10 years, singing and performing. I was a cruise director, I was a production singer, so I was in the shows, but then I became a cruise director in 2016, which means I was in charge of the entertainment, but I was still a performer, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So I still did my show every week. I was still in some of the shows. I made like cameo appearances. We used to do like Hairspray. They would do You Can't Stop the Beat, and I would come out dressed as Mama and sing Mama and stuff like that. And then that was it. And then I retired from cruising in last year. And my big thing is I've always wanted to get into... it's not that I've always wanted to do shows. I've wanted to get back into musicals because it's been such a long time. And also to be part of a community. When you're doing things on your own or you're traveling and stuff, it's a lonely life, so you're on your own a lot. So I wanted to be a part of something where I can... a show that I wanted to do, but also be part of an ensemble that I could be proud of and like enjoy every week. And that was it. And this show just landed.
That's it. That it is purely. So a huge part for me is that social aspect. I mean, nowadays I live on my own. Well, live with my wee dog, and then I work mostly on my own or with a class full of children. Yeah. So there's none of that kind of social interaction. Then all of a sudden you come to rehearsal, and what's great is you do the rehearsal, and it's incredible, and it fills that part of you. But then, we might nip over to the road, to what we call the office and go to the pub.
Couple of drinks.
And even soft drinks, just kind of sit round and just chat. And we all get to know each other, and then that comes back into the rehearsal.
That's it.
And we feed more, either positive or negative. If someone's wound you up in the pub and hasn't paid for their round, all of a sudden that scene where you've got to be angry is not as hard.
It's not as hard now. But it's so important because, like, for me, I've lived in West Yorkshire. I've lived in I live in Ripondon, but I just consider it all West Yorkshire. I've lived here for nearly 10 years of my life, but I've never felt a part of West Yorkshire because I've always been travelling. So my wife, who is from here, who was massive in the Am-Dram scene,
huge.
When she was younger, she did it all, and then she went and became professional when she was 16, and she went on to have an amazing career singing and dancing around the world. And I met her on a cruise ship. We met, and she decided to retire, but now she's doing other stuff. So she's choreographing and doing dance classes and all that stuff. So it's something that I've always been jealous of when I've come home because I've saw her. And she's got it, and like she meets up with them, and I just miss that, having that camaraderie with people. It's so important.
But again, what I love about it, and Kim, your wife's the perfect example of this, is those families, and round here, it's almost like ancient Scotland. Where you hear about all the clans,
100%,
and but it's still that makes it sound like it's cliquey, but it's still accessible for anybody to jump in. But then you learn, so despite us only being kind of recent friends, really, the last year or so, that we even met and got to know each other. Kim's mum and my mum have done shows for years and are really good friends. What I learned the other day, so I've always known about Uncle Jack, right?
Right.
Uncle Jack was a magician. played my sister's parties when we were tiny. I've seen video footage. I never realised that's Kim's granddad.
And
so it's just all intertwined.
And that's what I love about what I've learned. It's amazing. Like, we're all connected through song and dance. Yeah. And what brings them all together is, yes, we know that Chaos has got their thing, like Opera's got their thing, all these other societies have got their thing, but everybody's connected through one common love, and the love is performing. It's being on stage. 100%. It's being part of something that's, something great to do. My mother-in-law, Janet, is so invested in it. She teaches kids, but she's still performing to this day, and it's amazing to see. And then my wife is part of it as well. And I now hope that my daughter, she's now part of the Hattie Juniors, and she loves it as well. And it's such a great experience for anyone. And that's why this podcast is important, because letting people know that if you're in a society, or maybe you're at home and you want to get out there and you want to socialise and you want to be part of a team where you can sing and dance to some of your favourite songs and be part of something that you feel proud of, get out there. There is so much advertising now. You look at Facebook, there's all these, every week I am seeing literally shows upon shows upon shows, and they're looking for males, females, everybody. And all it takes is for you just to kind of take that step.
Friend of mine, Liam, who I did School of Rock with, he simply was just desperate to do School of Rock. And he just kept searching. He just kept refreshing. School of Rock, amateur. School of Rock, amateur. He knew the rights were available. Somebody must be doing it. And then Chaos popped up.
Yeah.
He came over from Manchester direction.
And he would come to rehearsals.
A few times a week to come do it, because he was that passionate about it.
I love that.
But it gives you this chance to go out there and play the parts that you never thought you'd get to play.
You would never get those. It's sad to see in this world. It's so different now, that the way that things are cast, and you have to be a name, or you might not look right. What's great about Am-Dram is, if you've got talent and you've got a passion for something, and someone sees that in you in that moment,
and the right work ethic, sometimes it's just having that
that's
right.
That's all it needs to be. Like you just said there with your friend, like traveling over from Manchester, right? That to me is a passion project. That's commitment, and surely the people around them notice that and go, "Oh my God, that guy's here."
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, the biggest hurdle that everybody has when it comes to joining societies is the first step. Yeah. It's taking the first step, because I knew, for me personally, I wanted to take the step, but I didn't know how, and it wasn't until last year, whenever we're sitting, and I used to be, my wife's part of the other society, and I helped them out making a couple of cameo appearances whenever I was on like vacations from cruise contracts. And it would always be something where I would turn up and just sing, like Singing in the Rain. I did like the male tenor solo thing. Just turn up and do my thing. But I always made this joke to Kim. Always made this joke when I came down here, because we used to come and see Chaos. We came and see Shrek. We saw all these shows. And I just always made the joke that I said, listen, Kim, The moment a society is doing Jesus Christ Superstar and it's close by, I was like, I'm going to be in that show. And she was like, haha, very funny. I went, no, Kim, seriously. Hopefully it happens when I've retired. I say, but if it's not when I've retired, I'm going to, and I was seriously contemplating, jiggering around all my different contracts to make it work, how I could do that. So for me, it was pure fate.
So is this the dream one then?
Oh,
Is this the one?
Todd, this is the role this is a short one. I just want to get this out here because this was so important to me on so many levels, because this opportunity landed on my lap when I was 17, when I was part of the societies that were doing West Side Story and Cabaret. We did Copacabana. I played Tony in Copacabana, which is another great show, very underrated. But Jesus Christ was always the show. And me and my best friend, his name's Jordan. If you're listening, Jordan, how you doing? Basically, Jordan was always wanting to be Judas, and I wanted to be Jesus.
Okay.
So that was the mindset. And we always used to, like, every cabaret, we would do charity concerts, everything. I would get on the floor and do Gethsemane. He would do Everything's All Right with me, him, and someone that was Mary. And it was a dream that we could one day put on this show, and he would play Judas and I would play Jesus. That opportunity arose. Wow. And we thought, oh my God, this is it. And then I got my first offer to go professional and sing. And it was whether or not to take that step. And I didn't. I went professional, did my first contract abroad. It was wonderful. But I always remember the moment I had to come back, and I went to watch him open Jesus Christ Superstar, and he was playing Judas. And I'll be honest, the person playing Jesus, he was all right, but I knew, I was like, I could do this so much better. I know it sounds terrible, because I knew I'd wanted that role so much at that time. But two things happened that night when I sat and watched it. Number one, I've never felt so low and dejected from not being part of this wonderful ensemble. To see the staging and hear the music, it changed a lot in me. But something else happened that night. I then realised, sitting watching it and watching my best friend, I went, hold on a minute.
Judas is the boy.
Judas is a far better part when you look at it in the whole context.
Yeah.
Now, that's not saying Jesus is a great role. It really is. Truly a beautiful role to play. But I knew where my heart was and where my voice was. It was more Judas. So that was it. And when that passed me by, I joke, when I was on cruise ships for the last 10, 12 years, I have thrown in so many Judas references, and I've done so many little cabaret performances where I go, and here tonight is Heaven on Their Minds by the acoustic guitar. Do you know Heaven on Their Minds? I will try that. I've always wanted to do it. And just whenever this came up, I took it really seriously.
Oh, I love it.
Like, when it came to the audition, I took it really seriously. Like, I dressed, because it was 10 o'clock in the morning, 9:30 in the morning, having to come in and sing Heaven on Their Minds and Damn for All Time. And I thought, if I'm doing this right. I'm giving it my all. I dressed up. I wore like a red rock vest with a headband and my sweatbands, my lucky sweatbands. And I came in and I just gave them, I didn't treat it like it was Am-Dram. I treated it like,
it's the way to do it, man.
I'm here to show you that I really want this, and it's something that I'm really interested in. And my wife will tell you, like, she's seen me getting contracts over the years. And they've been big contracts for big cruises and wonderful financial gains and all that stuff. But she will tell you the night when I got the email to say that I got that role, it's probably the biggest moment that we've ever shared as a couple and a family.
Man, that's so lovely.
I broke, I fell to the floor, and I cried. And it's so funny when you think about it, because it's just Am-Dram.
But it's not just
so
Am-Dram.
weird. And this is what we want to try and get out there when it comes to these podcasts. We know there's people out there that have got passions like this that don't get an outlet to showcase it. And this is where we want them to know that there are people out there, there are societies out there. All you just have to do is take that first step.
100%.
And what were you then? If, like, we talked about you when it comes to, like, roles you played, right? And you played a lot of roles over the years, drama and musical.
Yeah.
What would you say is the pinnacle for you? Have you hit the pinnacle when it comes to dream role?
No.
Or is it still sitting there waiting for you?
So JC's been up there. I've always wanted to be part of this show. I've loved this show since I was about 10. So I'm kind of living a dream right
Just
now.
being at the music.
Even just, I always wanted to be an Apostle. Judas is up there. Whether my voice is there for Judas, I'm not sure. But just to be an Apostle and be part of all that kind of network.
Yeah.
There's two. So I did Les Mis when I was younger, and I auditioned as my voice was breaking, so I thought it was the right age for Gavroche.
Right.
Voice broke a little love of me as well as just because I am known. So I ended up just being cast as nothing, but then I was that annoying guy that hung around the rehearsal room, and suddenly I was a convict.
You went everywhere.
Then I was Fauché Levant, which for the savants among you will know that is the chap that gets run over by the cart.
That's right, eh?
Which at my school production was a table like the camera is bounced on now with a big cardboard wheel. And one night Valjean lifted it too early and I had to spend 17 bars of music going, ooh, my knee.
It's like that scene from Family Guy.
That's exactly how I describe it. Exactly how. I then ended up becoming one of the main students because he had to drop out and play trumpet in the school band. All these things. So I'd love one day, but do you know the part for me in that? So everyone always goes, "Oh, you're Valjean, you're Marius." Enjolras.
I was going to say that.
Love it, man.
I could see you.
I love the rebellion. I love the rebellion of it.
I could see you doing that.
Oh man,
you could do that.
And when he dies in the crucifix pose, relevant, on the barricade. Oh man.
Yeah.
The big one for me is Beauty and the Beast. Belle. I'd love to play him.
Hey, it's 2025. You can play anything you want.
No,
so.
Obviously, you know the one for big guys like me to play the Beast and just it suits my body size, it suits my singing range. I'm desperate to. That's one I'd really love to do one day.
I could see you do a bit. I could even see you do a Gaston. I could see you do a Gaston.
Yeah, do you know Gaston would be a fun? The villains are always fun to play, man.
They are. See, that's why, like in Les Mis, I've always the role I've wanted to play is Thénardier.
Oh,
I've always wanted to do Master of the House. Just the sheer kind of.
I feel that's one you grow into, isn't it? As you get older.
I think as I got older, when I was younger, it was always like Valjean or Marius and stuff. But
not Marius. Yeah. Marius is wet.
No, I do know that there's. Do you know,
I love the song.
Do you know
the song's beautiful.
That
was one of my special songs when I was a teenager.
Eddie Redmayne changed my mind with Marius.
Beautiful performance of it.
It was the way it was. Do you know, like Empty Chairs, the way it was done, it was very kind of like, not a lot of music, very a cappella. You know, just the tears.
There's a grief that can't be spoken.
There's a few moments in that movie, man, that grabbed me. That don't get me wrong, there's a few that don't.
I'm mocking him there like he's not an incredible musical. Have you seen any clips of him as MC in Cabaret? Incredible.
Listen, Eddie Redmayne is like totally shocked me on the scale of.
It always seems when he gets cast like stunt casting, but it's not. The guy is brilliant.
He fully embraces the role and just he is that person, man. It's unbelievable. There's another role. You know what? A show I'd love to do as well. I'd love to do Rock of Ages.
Oh man, that would suit you to a T.
But in the part you would, I think you'd be. Who do you?
No, I don't think. I think we'd both probably want the same part. Yeah. Who are you gonna say?
I want to be Lonnie.
Yeah, Lonnie's the guy, man.
He narrates the show. He's
Chaos did it a few years ago.
Oh God, I love it, man.
Brilliant, man.
I love it.
So
I mean,
good.
don't get me wrong. You only get the one big can't fight this feeling anymore, but it's so good.
But it's a comedy number as well, and like that. It was lovely. I had a moment with somebody in rehearsal the other week and they were like, "Oh man, I didn't realise you were that good," which was a really nice compliment. But I said, you know, it's because I'm always the fat funny guy. It's really nice at the moment doing some really serious acting. But yeah, that number is...
that's one of the most underrated
We should duet
numbers.
That sometime.
Yeah, that's a good one to duet. That is a really good one to duet. I like that. I think that number's so good. Don't get me wrong, I do like High Enough. The duet with the male and the female, it's really nice. But I wanted to do my first. When I left cruising, I had an agent, and basically they were. I shouldn't say this, but they were a bit of a kind of dodgy agency, I would say. I'm not going to name them and stuff, but they were the kind of agency that you got the job on cruises off your own back, but as soon as you get the job, you have to sign with them. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then what happened was from that, they were taking their cut every week. So I was like, well, that's fine. I don't mind. But hopefully whenever I finish cruising, you know, I'll get set up for what I want to do. That's musicals.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got my first email, I told them, I said, hey, listen, Rock of Ages is doing a UK tour next year. Get me a private, get me this, get me that. Now, knowing my skill set, I know I can act and I can sing. Dancing I can get by, but it's not my strong point. I got 2 private auditions. One for Cats.
That wasn't what I was expecting.
Cats. We're going to put you in for a private for Cats.
I despise that musical as well.
And I'm like, right.
Sorry.
Again, that shows you that they're not invested in me. It's a cattle call. You're just like.
Can I ask which cat? Were you going to be a tortoiseshell or?
I don't even think it was Rum Tum Tigger. I wish it was, man.
I'd be.
I thought Mr. Mustafa.
I've never. This isn't a phrase I want clipping on a podcast, but I'm pretty sure it's Tugger, not Tigger.
Oh, is it Tigger? Oh,
Tugger. If ever you wanted a clippable sound from a podcast, it's Todd saying it's Tugger, not Tigger.
Sorry, I thought it was Winnie the Pooh, the musical. It was Tigger. I thought, sorry, I'm really, really bad. No, they got me that, and I never went.
You ready what the other audition is now?
The other one, no. Starlight Express.
Oh, incredible.
But wait, in Germany. Oh. The whole show's in German.
In German, on roller skates.
I had to audition in German.
Oh, incredible.
So I just knew at that point.
Imagine the CV, man.
Oh, I just thought this agency is an absolute joke. So, yeah, I remember those days.
I remember watching that when I was about 5-6 years old. Yeah.
I've never seen it.
It was incredible. I remember just being like, because
a lot of people say that.
You're a kid and you're like,
take
oh
it
my
back.
God.
I want to take my daughter
and one of the trains came over the track and landed on my mum. And I was like, oh my God, it's all gone wrong. Now as an adult, I'm like, oh, it was staged. Like,
Stage part of the
obviously,
show.
It must always come off the track there.
Yeah.
But I remember, and it's been something we always talk about. Do you remember? I'm pretty sure it was, I've got a memory, it was like a French train. And we've always, do you remember when the French train landed on Mum? And it's like, she'll probably comment on this and say, no, it
That's
wasn't.
That's a great clip.
Remember
when the French train landed on my mum?
Do you know what's hilarious? Is my parents live in France as well, so...
Oh. Oui.
I'm going to take this really serious again now, though. Most challenging role you've ever done?
Oh.
Or is there a role that you've like taken home with you where you're just constantly thinking about it and it's...
I'd probably say taken home is this one, Judas.
Yeah.
This one is getting in the mindset. It truly is that I'm not just saying this because I'm part of it, but as an ensemble piece, it's up there with the talent. I can't comment enough. I remember coming to the launch night for this and just being blown away by the talent and going, I get to be part of this. I get to be in amongst it. And bearing in mind, I spent the first 4 weeks of rehearsals just walking about. It was hilarious. No one knows me. I'm the new guy. Hasn't opened his mouth once. Hasn't done anything. And
prove yourself.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, here you go. So I was like, I have to really deliver this and make sure it's good. But I'd say this one is challenging, yes. But I'm probably not challenging yet because I haven't fully done the show from start to finish yet.
Yeah.
And I haven't found out what it feels like afterwards because I haven't died yet. Which happens, spoiler
alert.
I have a big death and it's a big emotional dramatic scene and it's something that is very out of my comfort zone. So it's going to be something, I think it probably will be up there. But if I had to say two, for me, I would say playing Tony at the age of 15, 16, Tony and Wesley's Story was a vocal challenge. It's very top heavy. Singing Maria, because my voice was at that point where it was still musical theatre, but it was blending into, hey, this guy's getting a bit of a commitments vibe, with the husk. I can hear him changing that, that tone. So it was hard to do a few things, but that was challenging. And I was also, we did a show on the ships called 88 Keys, and it was a 45-minute review show, and it was the music of Billy Joel, Elton John. It's a big piano show, so there's a big Liberace scene, but it's like a mix with Liberace and Barry Manilow's Could It Be Magic and stuff. But the show, usually it's a cast of 8, and usually in these review shows, you maybe sing like 4 or 5 songs, and everybody else gets a song each and stuff. In this show, it was 95% me. I was singing all the time.
Love it.
Every night, 2 shows, challenging, because it was also trying to convey the emotions of the music in 45 minutes was hard. So you've got to find pockets of where you can pull them in and, get them there and stuff. So I'd probably say them 2 for me, but I think at the end of it, Judas is probably going to take over. What about you?
Well, you mentioned Barry Manilow. Did you have to sing Mandy?
No, do you know they never had that in the show, man?
It's about a dog.
About a doll?
Dog.
Oh, really?
Did you know that?
No.
It's taken from, I'm going to get this so wrong now.
Oh, no.
It's taken from a song called Brandy by Scott English, I think it's called.
Yes, yes.
And actually, when you listen to the lyrics, it makes so much sense about it.
That's about a dog?
So I used to do this whole bit in my sets where I'd find a lady with a 2-syllable name. Not Mandy, let's say Becky, Hannah, whatever. And I'd sing it to them, I'd change the name. And then they'd be all like wooed at the end. And I'd go, yeah, it's about a dog. And in my young head, I thought that was hilarious. Started to realise it was a bit offensive.
Oh, love it.
Back to the seriousness. Most challenging role for me. They're challenging for different reasons, aren't they? There's a few play roles that kind of I've taken home with me. I've played this is a really poncy part, but I played the chief of police in The Balcony by Jean Genet at university. It's a really deep philosophical thing, but that was intense. That was like my first intense play. Incredible part to play, and it was an incredible thing to be part of. Musicals wise, one of the first challenging ones I remember, I played Bill / Lucentio in Kiss Me Kate.
Oh, okay.
He's like the hoofer, the song and dance man.
Yeah.
I ain't no dancer. I can move, and with enough rehearsal, I can get there. In that, I had a solo dance number that was choreographed by my teacher, Mr. Koo, who was brilliant. And we kind of choreographed it between us, but he wasn't a dance teacher either. So trying to teach a non-dancer when you're not a dance teacher, it must have been so frustrating for him. So that, and then the other one, again, comes from my youth days. I would say, I don't know if it was challenging, but it was interesting having to learn how to be different. I voiced the plant, Audrey 2, in Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, I didn't do any operating or anything like that. I was just off stage with a microphone. And kind of finding, how do I get me across on stage? There were some questionable accents. 2025, probably not massively appropriate. I'm not going to go into those.
I know you don't even need to explain. I know exactly, because I think I would have made the exact same choices.
I requested, but then there was a moment of Jamaican in there where I couldn't do the line "Sure You Do." I couldn't do in the accent I chose, and it came out slightly Jamaican, not intentionally. So I'd say that. Probably those two are the most challenging. I did Company. I was Pete. Was it Peter? Peter in Company. Funnily enough, I'm Peter in this as well. That's why it doesn't seem right. Susan and Peter. So there's a beautiful storyline with them where they get divorced and then they're back together again, and then he kind of implies he has feelings for the lead guy, which was a really interesting, because we wanted to play it almost that's a complete shock. You know, we didn't want to do the stereotypical camp acting, and it was really nice for me to kind of just explore that. For people that didn't know the show, I didn't know the show beforehand, to kind of hear that you saw the hand move across the balcony and all of a sudden you go, oh, is that where this is going? But also the harmonies and stuff in that.
Good. The music
but for me, I found it such a challenge. That was a challenge.
Would you say Peter in this is something that you maybe take home with you?
Oh, 100%.
I was going to say, because Peter's quite an very deep emotionally connected to Jesus, to Mary. So he's the bridge between a lot of different characters.
Yeah, it's been beautiful, especially the way it's kind of being directed. Yeah, you're finding that you're connecting characters together and trying to remember, man, that I'm friends with your character. It's only till halfway through when we start to know, because Judas, I mean, especially as a little Methodist boy that was brought up in the church, Judas is this big bad villain. And remembering that actually, this guy's one of my best mates, and finding those moments early on. So we see that journey for you as well.
Yeah.
And
really, I like that they've done that with this show, because they've gave these characters with nice arcs throughout, which is really, really cool. So I would say Peter's definitely one that you would take home and you would feel it, man.
We're just giggling there. You might have seen a little reaction from me. We are currently recording in our rehearsal room.
Yeah.
And we forgot to put a sign on the door, and somebody has just come in after finishing their rehearsal, we think.
Just popping in.
Which says to me that we should move towards the end. So I've got a couple of questions for you. First question, quick answer.
Go for it.
Desert Island musical. You're stranded on a desert island. You can only listen to one musical ever again. What are you going to go with?
I'm going to be so cliche. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say Jesus Christ Superstar.
I love it.
Say it. Honestly, I'd listen to this musical inside out every
I
single
slightly
day.
hate you because that was going to be my answer. I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
If I was stuck there forever, I would just listen to this exactly every single day.
Do you know, I'm going to... there's one show that, funnily enough, is on my phone, and I've just never taken it off my phone. It's the only show on my phone. So when I connect to my car, it comes through naturally. Once, good show. The music for that is constantly playing in my life, so I can understand that. And the other one I'll say, for a certain reason, is Carousel. Huh? Purely because it's got You'll Never Walk Alone in. And as a Liverpool fan, it would be beautiful to still hear that.
There's a better song in that show. I like it now.
Best song in that show is Soliloquy that Billy does.
What's the one? If I love her.
Oh no, awful. Awful. Right.
Yeah. Go.
Quizmaster.
Extraordinaire.
I've come to do a quiz with you.
Yeah,
you know,
you've been on the chase.
Just keep dropping that in. People can go
Make sure
find
you
me.
find
Me in my more youthful, better looking days.
We're going to ask. You know what we should do? We should ask every guest that comes on starting next week their desert island.
Great idea.
Yeah,
let's
do it. Every week now we're going to ask them. And you know what? We're going to ask you, if you're on a desert island, write it in the comments. What musical would you listen to?
And give the reason why as well. Don't just say what it is. I'm going to do a little thing with you. I'm going to do a ranking 1 to 10.
Okay.
So you've got to put them, I'm going to type next to it so we don't forget, what order in a 1 to 10, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst, you would put these musicals.
And I don't know what they are.
You don't know what the musicals are. You're not going to know what's coming next.
Oh, no.
We started big as well.
Okay.
Miss Saigon. Incredible show.
Always wanted that. I used to love singing Why God Why. I'm going to put Saigon at number 3.
3. Love it.
Yeah.
Quite topical now. Quite popular, you might say. Mm-hmm. Wicked. Oh, he's going to upset the youngsters.
No, I like it, but I'm thinking about what's going to be on this list.
So I'm going
to put Wicked at number 8.
Honk's up next. No, it's not really. It's not really.
Was it Drake? I played Drake and Honk. I love it.
Mamma Mia.
Oh, number 10. 100%.
Oh, he hates it.
Hate it.
Not a fan of the jukebox.
No.
We know he's a fan of this one though. Rock of Ages.
I am.
It's almost like I knew you coming into this.
I am, but I'm going to go number 5. Number 5.
Ooh. And keep it on the same vibe, the kind of rock musical. We Will Rock You.
We Will Rock You. I'm going to go at number 9.
That could be high up for my musicals to listen to, you know. I love Queen.
Good show.
I like this one as well. I've been working with a young lad who's auditioned for this recently, Legally Blonde.
Oh no, I've got to put that above. Legally Blonde's going to have to go at number 7 now. Do
you know, I think that's a fair ranking for Legally Blonde, though.
I'm not a massive fan of it. I've still got my number 1 spot and my number 2 spot.
I don't know where this next one's going to rank with you. I'm not sure I've ever heard you mention this show. Hamilton.
No. I've never seen it.
That's crazy.
I know. I'm going to say when you go to 5.
Yeah. You've got one at 5 already.
Oh, 6?
6 you can go.
6, go 6.
So you've now got 4, 2 and 1 left.
Right.
These could be horrible picks.
Oh, they're going to be horrible.
I've just mentioned it. Little Shop of Horrors. 4, 2 and 1.
Oh, you're going to give me something back. Number 4. Oh, no.
Les Mis.
Oh, number 2. Where's my number 1?
This is crazy. I can't believe you've left this to number 1. Really? Jesus Christ Superstar. You were hoping for it. I didn't let you down.
Yes, that's good.
All that leaves us to say, guys, is get booking your tickets for it. 17th to the 20th of April at the Victoria Theatre, Halifax. It's an amateur production in arrangement with the Really Useful Group. So big thanks to them for giving us the rights to perform it.
It's going to be epic. It's going to be brilliant, folks. Don't forget to check us out on all your social media platforms. And, of course, download this podcast, share it with the world. And, of course, tune in to every Friday for our episode and some special midweek episodes as well for some special things coming up over the next few months. Folks, thank you so much for listening. We've been your hosts. My name is Chris.
My name's Todd.
And welcome to StagesStruck. We'll see you soon. Peace.